Thank you for joining our July 20th PZM Essentials webinar. Today we'll be going over comparing scenarios within Profit Zone Manager. To give a brief run through of our agenda today, we're going to navigate to the Compare Scenarios tab, select the specific scenarios we want to compare, and then review the features within the Compare Scenarios page, and then we'll wrap up and answer anyone's questions we might have. So I want to introduce myself. My name is Dan Bahe. I am one of the Precision Business Planning Specialists here at AgSolver. So my main role is working with producers and channel partners to create their precision business plans on their enterprises in their fields, and also I am the training lead. So want to quick explain our format for today's webinar. We are in Q&A mode, so if you do have any questions during the webinar, please feel free to type your questions in the chat box below, where you can see my contact information. You can email me. My email is djba@agsolver.com, or you can send in questions to support@agsolver.com, and then you can also see my cell phone below there. So we'll go ahead and hop into Profit Zone Manager, and I'll move this box to the right here. And for this webinar, we're going to actually hop into the Webster field. And so within this field, we have 4 scenarios. So 3 scenarios of actual production, looking at actual yield history along with financial performance for 2008, 9, and 10. And then we also have a CRP planning scenario based off of 2010 financial performance and also the yield. But we're actually going to navigate to the Compare Scenarios page. And so where you can find the Compare Scenarios page is right next to the field name. Just to the right, we have an Options drop-down menu. We'll go ahead on that, and that pulls down our options. And at the very top, you can see the first tab that says Compare Scenarios. Go ahead and click on that. That pops up a new web page. So it's loading. So I want to mention that I am working off of my home Wi-Fi, and so we are all live. So if we drop down our scenario list on the left-hand side, we have all of our scenarios within this field. Say we have a dozen scenarios that we've created, whether they're planning, actual, or implemented, they would all appear here. But for time being, we're going to go ahead and click on our actual production corn 2010. And that pops up. And then on the right hand, to plug in our CRP planning scenario based off of 2010 yield data and 2010 performance. And within this scenario, we've already created this. Now we want to do a side-by-side comparison of these 2 scenarios. We scroll down. So here we have what actually happened in 2010 when we were raising corn on the entire field. And then on the right-hand side, we have a planning scenario where we have corn production, but also implemented a CRP pollinator habitat on that sandy ridge where you can see the high loss areas. So, and then under that, we have our financial field performance. So you can see on the left-hand side here, before we were producing 170 bushels on average when we were raising corn on this entire field, but actually once we took our acreage out of production, we actually were able to increase in this scenario yield by about 9 bushel. We've taken return on investment from positive 20% to positive 27%, You can see we've increased our production efficiency by about 40 bushels. And production efficiency is just a measurement of how efficient are we with our working capital. And when we're precision business planning, we want to look for simple ways and simple management changes to increase production efficiency by 15 to 30 bushels per $1,000 spent. And we decreased our acreage opportunity ratio, and acreage opportunity ratio is a representation of what percentage of this field is operating against an expected negative return. So it doesn't mean that 15% of this field was unprofitable. It just means that 15% of this field before was operating against an expected break-even return. And then beneath that, we have our working capital opportunity. So it's just a physical dollar amount to that 15%. And then we have our break-even commodity price. You can see, so whereas in 2010 with the budget that we have in place and our yield we would actually need $3.94 corn. But if we had this pollinator habitat, we would actually only need to have and market our break even at $3.43 corn. And then you can see the total field profit. And then the important factor on this pollinator habitat scenario, it's how are we going to shift acres from unprofitable to profitable. And you can see we've shifted acres from left to right. So we've decreased the acres where we're losing $300, $400, $500 an acre, and we've increased our production. So really mainly selected and increased our profitability in the $100 range. When we look at our maps, we can look at and compare the profit to the yield. All of that. If we want to look at return on investment, we compare the two. Break even yield increase. So you can see on that Sandy Ridge, a lot of it we would need to increase yield by north of 88 bushels to upwards of 125. If we want to look at our production efficiency map, we can do the same. So, but really, when it comes to we'll go to ROI. That'd be a good map. So now when we have our maps side by side and selected the map layers that we want to be performing and comparing, we can actually come up and print this to a one-page handout. Or if we wanted to save this onto our desktop or on a flash drive. So it's a simple one-page handout. So showing our compare scenarios on this field's financial performance. So you can either save them to a PDF or you can send it to your local printer. So now I would like to open it up to any questions anyone might have regarding compare scenarios. So it's pretty straightforward. It's just simply a matter of fact of navigating and finding where you click on to compare scenarios. So, and that's in the options drop down right next to the field name. So if we go to another field, you can see we have a whole list of scenarios, and all those scenarios So you can see all the scenarios within this particular field. So, and if you have questions later on or after this webinar, you can contact me via email or cell phone. I also want to mention that once this webinar is completed, we'll be uploading this recorded webinar to our YouTube page, so you can go back and watch it on YouTube. And I also would like to invite everyone to our next webinar at 11 o'clock this morning for our intermediate planning webinar, understanding the value of quality yield data. So this is a topic that's near and dear to my heart because I look at yield data all day, and so it's having that quality, accurate yield data to make accurate decisions. So, and that will also be recorded and posted to our YouTube page also. If there is no more questions, I want to thank you for joining our July 20th PZM Essentials webinar. And so, see you next week. Bye.